All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is daily vlog number 281. Today, I want to be nostalgic. I also want to drink. Gotta get my dirty drink. Okay, so fun fact, for like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now, I have this thing where my body will just randomly decide that it's done for the day, and I will literally start to pass out. Like, I will get hit by this massive wave of fatigue, and then I like lights are off and I'm gone within minutes. Talked to my doc about it, saw a bunch of different specialists, including a cardiologist, because they thought that the medical term is syncope. And doc thought that maybe I had something wrong with my heart and it wasn't pumping enough blood to my brain or something like that. And that's why it was just so incredibly like that. Wore a heart monitor for a few days, which was not fun. Or I think I wore it for like a week. And we found out, apparently, I've got a great heart. They were never able to figure out what it is that causes it, but it will happen randomly, and it happened earlier today. I literally sat down at my computer because I'd been in bed all day, not feeling great. Finally felt good enough to get up, sit down at my computer, and within like 10 minutes, just sitting down, I am out. And I was in the middle of playing Elder Scrolls Online, and I felt the fatigue hit, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna really quick finish this quest because I was in the middle of a dungeon, and then I'm gonna go. And I literally passed out in the middle of a fight. So I'm just sitting there, and I would wake up for like a couple seconds and push a couple more buttons, and then I'd be out again. So I went to lie down because that's the only thing I can do is I lie down, and either it will pass after a while, or I will actually pass out and I'll be unconscious for a little while. So waiting for it to either pass or for unconsciousness to take me over, turn on one of my favorite movies ever. In the US, it was called Pirate Radio, which I understand why they called it Pirate Radio, but it's a dumb name compared to the name that it is in Europe, which is The Boat That Rocked, which is such a better name for this movie. But it's basically about one of the pirate radio stations from the late 1960s. In the UK, when rock and roll was getting really, really big, it really didn't get much airtime on British radio. And so there were all these pirate radio stations where they would go out into international waters and would just broadcast rock and roll and other pop music at the time. So that's what the movie's about. And it's a great movie. It's got an amazing cast. Bill Nighy's in Bill Nighy, not Bill Nye the Science Guy, but Bill Nighy. Philip Seymour Hoffman's in there. Reese Falls, I think that's his name. Just absolutely stellar. Tom Sturges is in there. Absolutely stellar cast. But one of my favorite lines of dialogue from almost any movie I've ever seen happens in there. Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, whose name is the Count. Oh, and they're all radio DJs. That's who all these people are. So Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, the Count, is sitting up on deck, and Tom Sturges' character comes out. His name is Carl. So Carl comes out, and they're just having a conversation. And I'm going to read the line in verbatim because it's such a brilliant line. You know, a few months ago, I made a terrible mistake. I realized something, and instead of crushing the thought the moment it came, I let it hang on, and now I know it to be true. And I'm afraid it's stuck in my head forever. And then Carl goes, "What?" He goes, "These are the best days of our lives. It's a terrible thing to know, but I know it." And that line and the delivery, Philip Seymour Hoffman. First of all, Philip Seymour Hoffman, rest in peace. Brilliant, amazing actor. One of the best of his or any generation. And he just delivers this line with such gravitas for such a kind of simple, movie. Like the movie itself, it's it's about this pirate radio station and Kenneth Branagh. Yeah, there's another really big name there. Kenneth Branagh's in there. And Kenneth Branagh plays a parliament member who's trying to get pirate radio shut down. So it turns into this kind of the underdogs versus, the, stuffy old people that don't like this new stuff and get off my lawn kind of people. And it's a great movie, but you don't really think about anything that profound coming out of this, little movie about, rock and roll in the late 60s. And every time I hear that, I instantly go back to a time that I didn't realize, but looking back on it was the greatest time of my life. And I want to share an anecdote from that time period with you guys. And if anyone has the gumption to in the comments down below, share a greatest time of your life story. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed recently, but the world kind of sucks right now. So I would love to just hear about good times for a little bit. Especially since this stupid syncope thing is coming back and it's annoying the hell out of me. So, greatest time of my life was when I was doing the what I call doing the convention circuit. For anyone who doesn't know, I live in Wisconsin, which is where D&D comes from. Gary Gygax lived in Lake Geneva when he came up with it with, is it Dave Arneson? Is that the other dude that did it? I am so bad with names. I'm going to see if I, because every single time I talk about this, I always forget. Yeah, Dave Arneson. Okay. Finally starting to remember the dude's name. He just co-founded, one of the greatest games of all time. So, because D&D started here, we have a lot of board gaming conventions. Not as much post 2020, but we still have a fair few of them. And they're big enough that Wizards of the Coast sends out a lot of their upper staff. Like Chris Perkins comes out, I think, almost every year, if not every year, to at least one or two of the conventions. He runs games at the conventions, and I have never been lucky enough to be able to sit at one of his tables. But when I was helping run for another convention, I sat next to his table while he ran his game, and he genuinely is one of the nicest dudes in the world. But when I think of that line, that these are the greatest days of our lives, I am brought back to one night in particular. And I don't know why I fixate on this night so much, because there were other nights that were just as amazing and just as wonderful. But for me, it was one of the first times that I felt that I belonged somewhere. Like I was actually somewhere where I was meant to be. I was around people that actually wanted me to be there, which is something that I've struggled with my entire life. Even when I was doing things like being in bands or doing shows and my D&D and everything like that, I have always felt like an outsider. And a lot of that is, I was a bully victim. And here's another fun thing that they won't tell you on Glee. If something is popular, then the popular kids will get into it and they won't be shunned for it. Like this idea of like, High School Musical. Well, if I don't play basketball, then no one will like me and I won't be cool anymore. It doesn't happen. What happens is when the cool kids stop playing basketball and start trying out for musicals, musicals become cool. And then when they're done with that, they become dorky again. And the people that have been doing it for longer, they never become cool. And I was in that second group where there were very popular people in the musicals. And I was interacting with them on a fairly regular basis because I was a very good actor. And so I would get speaking parts all the time. I got cast as a lead fairly regularly. And generally the bad lead, like the evil bad guy lead, but I got to be in a lot of them. So even when I was doing theater, which is where I thought my life was going, was to become an actor, I always felt like an outsider and I always felt like nobody really wanted me there except to just say my lines and then get off. Like I didn't hang out with people afterwards. I would go to cast parties and stuff like that and spend most of the time by myself as a wallflower or watching other people have fun. But for whatever reason, when I started doing D&D and I started doing the convention circuit, I suddenly lost that feeling of nobody wants you here. And I remember this one night, we're at this fairly large hotel in Milwaukee. And the way the hotel was set up was you would come in and you'd have like if like I'm walking in, like reception would be right here, so you'd come in, you'd immediately turn a corner and go to the welcome desk, and that's where you check in and everything. And then it would open up into this atrium where it would go up, like the hotel itself was something like 15 or 20 stories tall. And the center of the hotel was just this massive open atrium where all the rooms around there basically had the walkways would all look down onto this kind of center area. And there was the base floor when you came in, and that there was a little restaurant down there, and you would go further in, and that's where we had all the D&D stuff set up, and the rest of the convention was everywhere else. But then there was also this little kind of balcony place that you could get up to that was a little bit smaller, not by a massive amount. And I remember I was organizing for this convention, so everybody, all the D&D people there, I knew personally because I had vetted all of them, and I'd gotten them, and I'd assigned them all of their adventures and everything. And a buddy of mine, whom I met through conventions and stuff like that, because he had a group of DMs that he would bring up from Illinois to a bunch of different conventions, and so he and I were really, really close. And I think he was either one or two other guys that were just other DMs that were with us. It is like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. The convention ended at 11. But we were, we had just finished running games and stuff like that, and we still had adrenaline pumping through our veins and that. And it was, I think, either a Friday or a Saturday night. I think it's a Friday night. So it was like the first night of the convention. The first day went off really, really well. And so we just picked a table on this little balcony place. Everyone else in the hotel is gone and asleep. But we're not. And so we break out something to drink. Can't remember what it was. And we break out the bigger, blacker box of Cards Against Humanity and just played Cards Against Humanity. Half of us drunk. I don't think I was drunk. I can't actually remember. I don't. Here's another fun fact. I've been officially drunk once in my entire life. It was my 21st birthday. I drank just a shit ton of stuff. I apparently inherited my dad's alcohol tolerance because I had something like, I don't know, 3 or 4 beers and a bunch of shots, and just I drank like a fish that night. I got buzzed. I remember the entire night. And then the next day, I threw up everything I had eaten since I was in the 5th grade. And that was enough for me. Never got drunk again. So I don't think I was drinking anything hard. I think I was probably drinking soda or something like that, because that's what I used to drink back then, back when I could have caffeine. And so we're sitting there laughing our asses off in the middle of a mostly asleep hotel with this massive atrium going up 100 feet above us. And I remember just sitting back and thinking, this is the coolest I have ever felt in the entirety of my life. I have been an outcast my entire life. Other than my best friend growing up, I didn't spend time with my friends outside of school. Like, we didn't go ride bikes together or anything like that. It just wasn't what I did. And so this was me hanging out with other people roughly around my age. Again, once you become an adult, like, the idea of all of your friends being within like a year or two of your age just kind of gets thrown out the door. Because I was like 24, 25 at this point. And I think the range of ages, I think, might have been up to like mid 30s and down to like 19 or to 20. But yeah, I just remember sitting there thinking, like, this is what I had wanted my entire life. Just having not a massive group of friends, and I wasn't like the most popular person ever, but as around a bunch of people that actually enjoyed being around me, that didn't just tolerate me because I was useful. And I was making my own decisions. I could choose to go to bed if I wanted. I could choose to stay there. I could choose to drink if I wanted to. I didn't. But I was completely free. I had nothing I had to worry about. I had no one looking over my shoulder, no one threatening to get me in trouble or telling me that, well, you have this responsibility tomorrow that you're being very, very brash and not thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow. It was just fun. And it literally best times of my life. And yeah, I miss it so much. Like, you can't imagine what it's like to, like, my entire world is like 4 walls that all look like that. And an unfinished bathroom. Like, that's the entirety of my life. So yeah, best time of my life. And if I live to be 100, I'm not sure I will ever be that content again. Not that I don't think anything good is ever going to happen to the rest of my life. I've no idea. Tomorrow they may come up with a cure for panic disorder, and I'll finally be able to, like, leave my basement. Who knows? But it was just an amazing experience. I felt like I was where I belonged to be, and I was around other people that all shared similar interests, and we're all there not because we were getting paid to do it, or not because we had a mortgage that we were all there because we really wanted to be there. And it was amazing. So yeah. So anyway, again, I would love to hear a best time of your life, a best day of your life, or best days of your life story in the comments down below. Talk about some from your childhood, some from your adulthood, whatever. Just a time where you look back and go, that was one of the happiest moments or most content moments or most amazing moments, whatever it was. Put it in the comments down below. Otherwise, it's going to be all for me today. I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.